Hey there, restaurant pros. It's Dave Scott Peters, and welcome to the Restaurant Prosperity Formula podcast. For over 2 decades, I've been guiding restaurant owners to success with the proven principles of something I call the Restaurant Prosperity Formula. I originally created the formula based on the daily practices of the most successful restaurateurs I've coached, and it's now the foundation of what I teach restaurant owners like you so you can achieve success. What do I mean by success? Success is a restaurant owner who dictates the terms of their life and their bank account instead of their restaurants dictating those things for them. Success is a restaurant owner who has freedom from their restaurant and the financial freedom they never thought possible. How you define success is up to you, but I do know the way to achieve it is using the Restaurant Prosperity Formula. This season, I'm diving even deeper into the core elements of the formula: leadership, systems, training, accountability, and taking action. Along with my insights, you'll hear from special guests, industry experts, and inspiring success stories from fellow restaurant owners who've turned their businesses around and found their definition of success. In this episode, number 106, we'll be doing a segment I call Flip the Table, where a member takes over and interviews me. Today, a longtime member of mine who is not only a top operator, but over the years has coached and consulted with me, David Militello. David will be asking the questions. Listen in and see how David gets down and personal with me. Let's get started. But first, a word from our sponsor. We all know managing costs is one of the most important parts of running a profitable restaurant, especially now. But between fluctuating vendor prices, waste, labor, and the never-ending list of tasks that demand your attention on a daily basis, it can be challenging for even the most experienced of us to manage costs well. That's where Margin Edge comes in. Margin Edge is a complete restaurant management software that automatically uses data from your POS and invoices to show you food and labor costs in real time. Don't wait until it's too late. Margin Edge gives you tools to make decisions in the moment, like a daily P&L, price alerts on key ingredients, and real-time plate costs, all without ever having to touch a spreadsheet. Take control of your costs, work more efficiently, and be more profitable. Go to www.marginedge.com/DSP to learn more and schedule your demo today. David, I want to thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate you doing this.
Well, thank you. I'm honored to be here and looking forward to hearing some of your answers today.
Yeah, because we're doing a flip the table. This is a first for me where I've got a member. You happen to be a member mentor. We've got a lot of history together. In fact, we've known each other for 20 plus years because you were actually one of my first 5 members when I started 21 years ago as a restaurant coach. And before we get started, I'd like you to tell people a little bit about you and your restaurant group, and then we'll kind of start into it. We'll flip the tables.
Sure. My name is David Militello. I'm a multi-concept restaurant owner in a small town, resort town on Lake Michigan. I have an upscale Italian restaurant, an upscale steakhouse, and a small kind of hole-in-the-wall bar we serve burgers and good beer and stuff out of, and 2 wonderful girls that just make it all complete. So,
yeah, it's fantastic. Now, we've known each other, again, 21 years, 20 years, somewhere in there. Again, being one of my first 5 members when I first started coaching. And so you've been to my seminars, you've been to workshops. In fact, you presented on the stage because you became a coach with me. You became a consultant with me. We spent a lot of years together working side by side in restaurants, with restaurants, and over the years, we split apart a little bit. You did your thing, did my thing, and then we're back. Luckily enough, we reconnected. I folded you back in. You're a member mentor for my current members in my Restaurant Transformation Intensive program. Like, you are a solid operator. And I thought it would be fantastic if, well, for the first flip the table, you're the guy who interviews me and ask the questions you think other people want to know. So I'm going to turn it over to you, David. It is now you are in control.
Well, I don't know about that, but I've got some great questions for you. So hopefully I can learn even more about you, and we can share that as well. So
sure, bring it on.
All right. First question I have. I want to know, what was your dream as a child? What did you want to grow up to be? And if you had one, was it a solid vision, an experience? What did your success look like at that point?
I will tell you, it evolved over the years. I think if you first asked me junior high school, even through most of high school, I thought I'd be an artist. I actually had a scholarship to Philadelphia College of Art back in the 1980s. I chose a scholarship for rowing instead. I got two scholarships to two different universities, Temple University and Northeastern University. I decided to go Division One. And that's about where my interest started to flip. Once I decided art wasn't the direction I was going, believe it or not, coming out of, I had a speech communication degree from Northeastern University, interpersonal organizational. What the hell do you do with that? I don't know. But towards the end of my senior year, I thought I want to act and model. I actually had a modeling portfolio put together, thought about I was going to make my way to New York and start that process. Unfortunately for me, and fortunately at the same time, I had fallen in love with somebody who we ended up getting married, divorced in under a year. So I can tell you that there were a lot of things that didn't go well there, in the sense of, I remember going on a photo shoot and my girlfriend at the time said, if you kiss another woman, I'm going to divorce you, or I'm going to leave you, is what she said. And so there was a lot of ultimatums. That wasn't good. But with that said, I think the other thing, that my ultimate dream that did not come true, would be, I wanted to be an Olympian. I absolutely thought I had the chops to do so. But I can tell you, rowing Division One and rowing with, I believe it was 5 different athletes that were on the national team, or a couple of them are 2-time Olympians. There is another level to Olympic athletes. And, well, I unfortunately was not one of them.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I didn't realize the whole artist side, which makes a lot of sense based on your whole comedian, the stint that you've done, and how you've developed, and your personality, of course.
I'm very quiet, shy, and introverted. And yeah, when I did improv, all the things, I'm still very much a creative person. I just channeled it into restaurants, and as you and I worked together over the years, you helped me. We were integral in helping me create the software that I created in my old company. I mean, it's all about that creativity, taking those systems and creating it in a way that allow people to understand it. And I think I use that today when I present. I always say, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, and I'm not. You've known me. You and I have gone out drinking. I'm not the smartest guy in the world. With that said, I can present the most boring information, more entertaining, real world, exciting than anybody else. And it's freaking math. And I think that's kind of where that artsy side, that I don't know if that's left or right brain, because I'm the opposite, right? Where that comes in. But yeah, you wanted to be an artist.
That's awesome. And that's what makes it all. I mean, that's what hooked me in the beginning, was I didn't want to listen to the math, so you have a gift. That's all I can say, is you have a gift. So
thanks, brother. Appreciate you.
All right. On to number 2. On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you rate your willingness to take risks? Okay.
I got to be a 9.5. Any restaurant owner understands that when you're an entrepreneur, it's risk reward versus time for money. And so, there have been times where, I think in my old company, there was a time where everybody got paid and I'd get paid for a full year. And I think that 3 times in the 15 years that I ran it. You got to take risks. When I created the software, that was, by the time we were finished, or when I left the company, was bought out, we had it well over $1 million self-funded in software, which is worthless, in the sense that you've got to stay on it. The code is worthless at some point in time if you don't keep up with it, and it's ongoing. So when I talk about risk, I think I'm a 9.5. I don't know what a 10 looks like, because but I just don't know anybody's a full 10, right? So 9.5. I'm willing to take risks. It is risk reward all day long.
Yeah, I think that helps us restaurant owners, entrepreneurs. That's the link between you and all of us. I mean, you're an entrepreneur yourself, obviously. So we definitely take risks. So. And I've seen plenty that you've taken over the years. So
you've been in the trenches with me. Not many people know all the details that you know.
Yeah, I think the next question kind of leads into this, but is an addition to what I just asked. But what has been your process to starting a small business? Because you've started a few, and even just this last venture, how you've changed and started from scratch again, basically after you sold your old company. Are you more of a business plan, get everything in line, and then go, or does it just blow up and you start working?
Well, I'd love to tell you that I'm planned, but I am a fire ready set aim. I can remember when I started my first company as a restaurant training coaching company, I didn't know that I was going to do so. I was actually a franchisor turning a failing franchise around, trying to get it to be when it was supposed to be, profitable and then sold. And 2 years before that happened, my mom went to a seminar called $1 Million Speaking. It was $100 seminar that sold her into this freaking, I don't even want to tell you how much. It was so much money. But she was able to bring somebody with her for free, and I'm kicking and screaming. I'm like, Mom, what the hell did you do? Now I was speech comm major. I wanted to be like my dad was an NLP, neuro-linguistics programming or processing speaker, a motivational speaker. I'm like, man, I want to do this. So she got to bring me with her, and I'm like, this is going to be awesome. I want to speak. But it was really about the business of selling from stage, creating what was the emphasis of the time of what's called information marketing, which is what I do. I sell a system, a process, a way. It's information. And I remember going there, and in the first day, I was pissing and moaning to my mom, like, you spent how much money? I'm protecting my mom. You did what? Da da da. And by the end of the day, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I had the speech comm degree. Was doing improv comedy. My life was in restaurants and bars. I'm like, I know what I want to do, because as a franchisor, I was selling a system, a process away. I just didn't have the logo anymore if I did it on my own. And I got to grow into business. I got to, while I was turning that company around, start my business, do seminars, start coaching, do all these things that when I transitioned, it was no big deal. But I can tell you that I'm fire ready set aim. Like once you have that passion, that burning desire inside to do something, like freaking go for it. Now, It doesn't mean you got to back up and then apply the budget. It doesn't mean you don't have to come back and go, oh, I made some mistakes, costing me a lot of money. I need to veer and learn from those mistakes. It's no different than a restaurant operator like yourself. It's you have an idea, you go for it, and then you go, shit, I didn't put the details together. Now put the details together and start to run it like a business. But man, you got to have that spark. If you don't have the spark, why the hell do you want to do it?
That's a great way to put it. And I agree with you 100%. I just see this vision at the end of the tunnel always. And it's not, how do I get there? I just go there, and then I go and backtrack and put the budget in or redo the budget or whatever it takes. But yeah, it's that burning desire. So awesome. Thank you. Tell me one accomplishment you are most proud of all these years of coaching and leading restaurant people, changing their lives. What do you think is your biggest accomplishment?
Logically, you'd think it was building my last company and employing a bunch of people and creating software that changed people's lives. I don't think that's it. I really think it's working with members one-on-one and actually seeing the change in their lives. As you and I have done in the past together, we have worked on the ground with couples who, man, they were on the path to divorce because, you screw with money, you start adding stress, you start doing all these things. Restaurants can rip families apart. And when you can bring them back together because you're the person who says, here's hope, here's the direction to get there. Hey, instead of playing who's smarter than the other, just follow what these guys say and do it and see that when they take action, it changed their lives. It's when you see the person who is on the brink of bankruptcy and you give them hope and show them that with a budget and putting what systems in place and learning how to delegate to make change in their lives. I don't know that it's one thing as much as the one thing is being blessed, if you will, to be a coach and to actually transform people's lives. And I say transform them. I just want to be very clear. And I've talked about this over the years. I don't do the frickin' work. You do.
Right.
So it's motivating somebody. It's holding them accountable. It's giving them the tools to be successful. But ultimately, they're not successful if they're not motivated to be so. There's that certain bit of the people who work with me are looking for change. I can't make you want change. I can't make you want to do the work. Like, you come to the table thinking, man, I need something. There's got to be a better way. The truth of the matter is there is a very duplicatable plan. The same systems, the same tools, the same process. The only difference is when we get into your budget, where are your problems? Where do we start with you? Might be a little different than somebody else because you've created a different challenge. And I think that's what it is. It's got to be just the fact that I'm so lucky to be able to coach and change people's lives. That would be the one thing. It's a lot of things, but it's really the one thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. I remember when we've coached together a few times, and that was always the one thing that just really has stuck with me over the years, was seeing the face of somebody that just got it, just figured it out, or watching the business turn the corner, or watching their bank account fill up, just bringing accomplishment and peace to somebody's life like that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And especially in an industry where it's tough. It's the toughest business I know. The beautiful part is there is an easier way. You just got to be ready.
Yep. And open it. Yep. So I believe that when we learn the most, we do it when we make mistakes. Can you share one of your mistakes, maybe one of the most difficult or the most impactful?
I'm going to tell you my biggest mistake. You were there. My last company I hired a programmer, believed in him, listened to him. We had a launch date. We were going to launch this in Las Vegas. We brought some of our best members in, and we had other people come in, and we had a room full of, I want to say there was 80 something people in the room. We're excited to release this software. And as I got close to it, my programmer said, well, it's not quite ready, so on and so forth. And I'm like, do I need to tell people not to come? Oh no. Way I've written this, it's almost like he was pre-AI. Once we drop in a little bit of this, the code's going to write itself. You're going to be ready. I said, and I remember losing my shit on him. Like, I've got to tell people, We show up in Las Vegas, and we don't even have screenshots. We don't have any UI interface, let alone something that's operational. And I remember we worked 24/7 around the clock. We had some of the other team members, like, helping this programmer create some stuff. And I ended up doing a mini seminar, and I can remember finishing it and feeling the tail between my legs that I had disappointed, let down all these members who had flown to Las Vegas for the release of this brand new software. I had basically lied to them. I lied. I said no. And I can remember unplugging some equipment behind a curtain and just wanting to break down. And it was just, couldn't believe it. But I will tell you, one of the most amazing things came out of that is I realized what a fantastic supportive community I had developed. I lost one member. One person was upset. Everybody else just freaking understood and rolled with it. But I've never felt so much like a failure ever in my life than at that point in time. But I can tell you, while I felt bad for a day, the next day I had already contacted a new programming company that was pulling all of my data over. Like, I was not going to let it, stop me. It was like, okay, this is just a big bump in the road. I may have bloodied myself hitting my head against this wall, but by God, I'm getting over the wall. I'm going through the wall. And by the end of that next 24-hour period of time, I had a brand new company that was taking over everything. And it was just amazing because, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you cannot allow even the worst of times stop you dead in your tracks. You have to lead. You have to make a decision. I don't know if you remember that. I mean, I was literally up in the hotel room, and I was already, in communication with a whole nother company.
I remember every second for the 2-day period, every second.
I believe you were in the room when I threatened to beat the shit out of the programmer as well. I was pretty pissed off.
Yeah. Yeah. Brad and I were holding the door.
Oh. Anyway.
Yes, that's a great example. And again, some of those things weren't in your control or anyone's control, and it just happened. But
And then
you
that's
learn. Well,
the thing about, again, as entrepreneurs, you can only control what you can control. So
yeah,
I screwed up. I believe this guy. So now I learned the lesson of trust and verify, very much so. Again, as the leader of the company and as an entrepreneur, I didn't let it stop me. Don't think I didn't feel bad for days. I
yeah,
did not allow it to stop me. We were going to
right,
go forward and fix it. So that was crucial.
yeah, yeah. Perfect. Great story. Great memories. Well, not the best, but yeah, yeah. All right, we're going to turn the corner a little bit here. What advice would you give an aspiring coach that wants to start up their own business?
So if we're going to assume the restaurant industry, I would tell you that specialize. Know what you do well. So for instance, people always ask me marketing questions. I'm not a marketing guy. I'm going to send you to Matt Plapp. I'm like, go talk to Matt. Go talk to, used to be Cameron Carrington, who Matt just purchased his company and they became one. I'm not going to do marketing. I'm an operations person. If you're a trainer, do great trainings. If you're a numbers person, do great numbers. Like whatever you do really, really well and are passionate about, that should be your shingle, your focus. Don't try and be all things to all people. The other is understand that you know more than most. You don't know more than all, and you don't have to. So when I first started 21 years ago, I had a little bit of what we now call imposter syndrome. We didn't label it back then 20 years ago. And that was this. I used to go to like a restaurant leadership conference full of chain operators, and we were this small 30-unit franchise. And I'd be looking at these people, McDonald's and Let Us Entertain You, and all these people that knew all these things about running 500, 1,000 locations, so on and so forth. And I felt inadequate. So when I started coaching, I'm like, man, do I know everything? And I doubted myself. The reality was I learned that as long as I know more than the person I'm talking to at the time, I'm helping them. And then what I've realized 21 years later is if I look back at myself 20 years ago, I would have laughed and gone, you're going to be a coach? You don't know shit. Because the thousands of people I've talked to, trained, helped, worked on budgets, seen their challenges. I've created millions of data points. And now I look at something and sometimes I say something, go, where the hell did that come from? It's because millions of data points. I know so much more now because of you, right? People like you and other members that have taught me, because I get to see inside their business. I get to help them make solutions and learning all the way through that I'm so far better than I was 21 years ago. But the reality is if you want to start. Just be very, very focused on what you're going to provide somebody, over deliver, and just learn. That's really what it's got to be. And today, I think back then there was restaurantowner.com, Jim Laub. He was about 5 years before me, but with a member site. I was the first operations coach. There was a Rory Fatt for marketing. There was Cameron Carrington out there in marketing, but there were no coaches. Now there are so many coaches. My Facebook feed is just getting bombarded by individuals saying I'm a coach. And I can tell you this, I don't look at any of them as a competitor in the sense that there are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of restaurants. You find the coach that matches you, you're in good shape. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. Like you either love me or hate me, because I am all like, this is David Scott Peters. Like I am consistent. The reality though is if you want to coach, be you, be authentic. I guess that's the other part, is be authentic. Don't try. And if you're not a suit wearing person, don't wear a freaking suit. Wear t-shirts and flip-flops and that's your thing. Somebody's going to associate in the restaurant business, go, man, you're a t-shirt flip-flop guy just like me. And I want to work with you. So be authentic, be very specialized, and just do it.
Yeah. Great advice. Let's see here. I've got a couple left. Shift gears a little bit. What are some things that you love most about the hospitality business? I mean, what really draws you to it?
Oh, it's
I know you
freaking
grew
great.
up in it,
It's
you
creating
know.
memories. It's the same reason why I like being a coach. The difference is you're touching someone's life. For me, when I was an improv comic, I was bartending, then I was bar managing, then I was managing 2 different locations, waiting for the 3rd store before I became an operations manager. I was doing improv comedy. I was doing improv comedy on the floor. Like, this is before I truly understood that a lot of things that I would say probably couldn't get through today, because it would be labeled as probably sexual harassment. I mean, there wasn't.
Right.
I'm somebody who does voices. There's not a sexual preference, a disability, a nationality, whatever that I don't equally offend because I do voices and characters. And I would do that on the floor. It would just be a blast. And when you can create memories and people start coming in and asking for you, not the owner anymore, it's magical, because you're touching somebody's life. So it's the same reason why, people like yourself, who I think are one of the top-notch hospitality pros out there, like truly creating a magical guest experience. It's no different, man. It's touching people's lives. There's nothing like it.
Performance. It's a performance.
Yeah.
And making that connection.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome. So you've recently, I say recently, but maybe not so recently, started rowing, and with that has very quickly come a lot of achievements. You're back on your game. You're doing all this stuff. So this question might be a little redundant, but what are some things that you do personally to fill your well? So you have some life balance. You know how you coach us to get some balance in your life and everything else. What are some things that you do?
I can tell you that it's taken me into my 50s to follow my own damn advice. I'm being dead straight with you. So, we talk about rowing. I rowed in high school. I got a scholarship to row Northeastern University, D1 school, took 34 years off. In between that, just before 2018, I had a heart attack, 2 stents put in, major life event, minor heart attack. And I needed to change. COVID came, and somehow I found my way back to the sport of rowing 34 years later. And I'm back in it. I'm an all or nothing person. Just if people who don't know me, it's like I'm either doing it or I'm not doing it. So I'm fully competing again. In fact, I'm leaving in 2 weeks for Germany to row at Worlds for Masters. Like, it's crazy what's going on right now. I can tell you, though, when I got bought out of my last company, that I was not in good shape. I just had my heart attack a year earlier. The company was struggling. Like, it got to a point where financially, there was going to be some tough decisions to make, which spurred my business partner to say, "Hey, how about I buy you out instead?" So it was already not in a great place. I was 45 pounds heavier. I was not feeling good about myself. Things were tough. Then I lost my company, meaning I was approached to be purchased years before I wanted to. But I made the decision that it was probably the best decision for my family, and I took the offer. And so now I realized I was screwed, in the sense that my whole identity was David Scott Peters, the restaurant expert. I built software. I had 500, something like 550 members that were in the software, and we was coaching and doing all these things, and that identity was gone. I had nothing else. I had my kids, my wife, but I did nothing else. And so I realized how important having an identity outside of my work life was so important. Rowing started to fill that. You've got to do something else. And it's twofold. One is you've got to fill your soul with something that makes you happy. For you, over the years, it's drumming, if I remember correctly. You've got to. Your soul is not fulfilled if you do not have sticks in your hand. Even if you take time off, getting on stage and feeling that magic and being in the flow is so important. That creative side that is outside the restaurant feeds the restaurant. When you can turn off work and just be present with your family. Be present when you're on stage. Be present when you're, for me, rowing. When you're present, all of a sudden the creative stuff happens because you see more by not paying attention to anything but the thing that makes you happy at the moment. And so that work-life balance. The second piece is I learned a technique that I've been working with some of my members that I didn't really pay attention till I got older. And that's blocking out my schedule. I literally put do not book. You cannot book a time on my calendar. You can, I don't give a shit. I'm at a point in time where I used to work from 7 in the morning till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning when I was developing software. I had my coaching members in the daytime. I would then have dinner with the family, and then I'd be back at it because we're developing software, working side by side with the programmers, ... I had no life. I missed my daughter's birthday probably every other year because there was a food show, and I thought, man, I'm doing this for my family. And I realized it's bullshit. I did it for myself. Right? If you were doing it for your family, you'd be present for your family. So I think that it's taken me, unfortunately, and I'm trying to, in this iteration of my coaching program, really focus on when I say restaurant prosperity, is which freedom from your restaurant, the financial freedom you deserve, and the freedom from your restaurant is first. It's because I learned the lessons hard. You've got to have things outside. And on a side note, if you don't have your health, you got nothing. So if some of the things that you like to do that you're passionate of are physically active, even at walking with a spouse and being present, man, you got to do it, because you could work your ass off, spend a lot of time, you could create wealth, but if you're not around for it, you can't enjoy it because you're in pain or you can't walk, man, that's a tough one. And so finding a second identity, the passion you have outside your business, doing that, blocking off your calendar, going, this is my time, you can't play. And then keeping your health the best you can. And that's what I think is a secret for me. I'm about to be 58 years old in just a couple weeks. And I wish I'd learned that lesson decades ago. But I want to tell you, I probably learned it in the last 5 years.
Yeah. I feel you so much. Similar situation here. We hear these phrases all of our life, and not till events happen or things change or life changes or sometime too late that we catch up to it. But great advice, great stuff. I couldn't agree with you more. So. I have to say, it's so inspiring to watch you get excited when you talk about rowing, to see you accomplishing in these events and winning these events and the stories that come from it, on top of all the other, inspiration you're providing me, all the members, everyone else, all the people that have always followed you. So to see you do something for yourself, hats off to you even more. That. So. Yeah. Let's see here. What else? I got one or two more. At what moment or experience did you know that you were the restaurant expert? Tell us that story.
So I think it happened after starting the company. Like, again, I suffered from imposter syndrome. Like, these people know more than me. And I believe it was probably 3-4 years into the business. It's probably around the time you started coaching with me. I can remember being at an elite meeting. It was a mastermind group of 20 of the most successful restaurant operators we worked with at the company. We go to each other's restaurant on a quarterly basis, having your peers around. And I remember we were in Vermont, Henry Bronson's, God rest his soul, little town in Vermont on a logging route, and across the street we're in the little motel that this is run down as all hell, all I could say. Yeah. And I remember 3 of us were sitting in my motel room and going, I want to do more. I need some of the things that you bring to the table, some that somebody else brought to the table. And I'm like, are you interested? And at that point in time, I realized I'd gone to a level that I'm helping a ton of people. I know what the shit I'm talking about. It's time to build it more than just me. And so it's got to be years into it. And it was damn near at that meeting when I have again, did I start the business with a plan? No, I had an idea and I went on it. I had an idea, pulled you into a motel room and said, what do you think about becoming a coach? It's just kind of how it worked. And I think that's probably it. When you look around a room and you have 20 people sitting at a table, all hanging on your words and you've built that kind of respect, that's, I think, when I knew when I arrived.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it. I remember that meeting vividly too. I remember some wrestling going on, but
well, that might have been again when we discovered that restaurant owners like to drink, and
yes,
Brad and I, well, we were on the ground wrestling in mud, well, wet grass. It was muddy wet grass. But
yeah, it was. It was. Great times, great memories, and so many accomplishments for sure. Full circle here. Can you describe what it feels like to have transformed so many lives for the better? Literally, thousands of businesses, owners. You've coached and elevated to operate. They're all professionals now. They're all operating on a level that beat any independent. Even more to realize the vision and their ultimate life dreams. So they've come from, playing in the kid pool. I'm going to run a restaurant. I just bought a restaurant, to operating at a level that chains can't even touch. I mean, how does that make you feel that you've touched that many lives?
There's nothing more rewarding. I can tell you that, like many entrepreneurs in our business, sometimes we operate in what Steve Eller and my team, we like to call entrepreneurial poverty. Like, next month, next year, when I do this plan, it's going to be better, so on and so forth. And over the years, there have been at least 3 times in my life, if not 4, in 21 years I've been an entrepreneur, that I've operated in entrepreneurial poverty. There's this ebb and flow of things are really, really good, and then sometimes just the cards don't fall where you want them, and you struggle, and you got to adapt and make a change, and it sucks. But that's what being an entrepreneur is about. That often I'm accused of being the biggest social worker that I know. Because I cannot tell you how many times, just to help someone, if they've been in a financial crunch, that I make the time. I'm not earning money. I'm only earning things that fill my soul. It's to truly help someone. And there's no better feeling. I'm a big personality to begin with. I don't think people understand how much I truly care. Like, I can tell you, just the other day, I was on a budget call. We have a restaurant owner, a family. They have a couple locations. One's a big event hall, and it's been frustrating. Normally, we do budgets for somebody. It's a few hours. We take a few hours to create the template. Then it's 1, 2, 3 2-hour Zoom calls. We put their plan together, what success is going to look like, their plan for success. Like 3 calls max. Well, with this one member, we have got to be 20 plus hours into the damn thing. We've got a lot of people who aren't in the coaching program, but are a part of the organization, and around a table on a screen, and Zoom, and doing all this stuff. And at one point in time, literally, this is just a couple weeks ago, I had to apologize after. I lost my shit. I said, we should have been done in 6 hours. Because I care more about you and your business than you guys do.
Yeah.
Like, I can't do this. You have got to get this done. I'm done. I cannot care more about what's going on in your business than you guys. The owners were thankful that I kind of gave that message, because there were these managers who were just oh, what if we spend a little money and it's for the future? And that labor doesn't make sense. We couldn't possibly do da da da. And all these reasons why it couldn't be done and why it's okay for them to lose hundreds of thousands of dollars because they are a multi-million dollar caterer in this one business. And it was just okay. And I'm like, bullshit, that's their money. And I lost it. And so I care so much about my members. And I don't know that people understand that. They think, some people might think they see me on the internet, it's a big show. Like, that's my consistent personality. You've known me for 20 years. Like, I'm consistent. I'm either on or off. But when I'm on, I'm on. And I am going to be tough with you, but I care. I truly care. If we're going to work together, we're going to be friends. That's what I tell people. Like, if you don't like me, don't sign up with me, because if we don't get along, I don't give a shit. Like, I'd rather enjoy our time together because we are going to spend so much time together, and I do want to care about you, and I do want to make sure you get change.
Yeah. I can attest to everything you've just said. I mean, your integrity, your honesty, your ability to give beyond, I don't even know where the energy comes from. Your ability to elevate all of us, your members, anyone you're coaching, you hold us up to a level that we never knew we could get. Until we get it. I don't know where you get the energy to do that. And it doesn't matter. I'm grateful. I'm beyond grateful. And I know every one of your members is even more grateful because you continue to give. You're an example of where dreams come true. You're an example of how to live your life, and I'm just honored to be a part of it and to have met you 20 some years ago. I still sit there and remember that first meeting at the Palace Station, tiny room, maybe 6 tables.
I think we had at your seminar either 25 or 32 people. I had big rounds to make the room look more full. Yep.
And I think it was the second day. That day, you convinced me that I either needed to become a coach for my employees and my restaurants and my business, or hang it up. You got to shift your mentality. And I tell you, that day I did shift my mentality, and it's been so much easier since. When I work with, it's the difference between, helping people. I help my employees as well, and it's just a whole different style. And I can't thank you enough for setting me on that path. I'm by no means an expert in that area, but I work at it every single day, and I'll always continue to work on it. And we're all students, and that's how I move forward. And so happy to be back in the circle and a student again. So I'm looking forward to the future, and making things better and contributing. So
I'm thankful for you. You taught me things like the dream equation, the importance of checklists. You taught me about hospitality. You taught me what it is to get the most out of your managers. There are so many things that you've brought to the table and that I learned from other members that just makes this journey that much more enjoyable and more powerful. So I wouldn't be where I am without you in the first place. And I'm very excited for our members that you are on the team, that you are there to help them, because I know the changes you've made in people's lives in the past, and I see it again today. So I appreciate that from you as well, my friend.
And I thank you. It's a win-win.
100%. Thanks for doing Flip the Table with me, David. I appreciate it. Well, maybe we'll do it again sometime.
Awesome. I look forward to it, man.
Thanks, brother. Ready to take the next step towards achieving restaurant prosperity, freedom from the daily grind, and the financial success you deserve? Book a discovery call with Ryan James to learn about our group coaching program. Ryan will guide you through how our program can transform your restaurant and help you achieve the prosperity and freedom you've been striving for. Click the link in the description below or visit dsp.coach/talk-2-Ryan to schedule your call now.